Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. Today I'm going to prove to you that the future feast of trumpets is the rapture and the tribulation. I've been saying that all the time, but I was convinced that 2020 Jesus would return. But of course he did not. But there was one error that I made, was to count the Jubilee years from the 49th year instead of the 50th year. Jesus came 27 AD. That was on the 49th year. Jesus began his ministry, right? Yeah, so that was 27 AD on the 80th Jubilee. Jesus began his ministry around about just about the time when John baptized him. Jesus went into a 40-day fast, and then in his hometown he preached Isaiah 61 verse 1 to 2, but he fell short of touching on the last portion, that he would take revenge on the enemies and comfort those who were mourned. Because that, the latter part of verse 2, is when Jesus will return as King of Kings and he will destroy the enemy. So I should have counted from 28 AD instead of 27 AD. And 28.com is correct in that he's saying that that is the end. But he has a lot of errors in saying that Jesus died in 28 AD, which is not correct. And then he also, of course, he doesn't believe in a or a tribulation as such. So that is that's just the difference. But I want you to share this video with every watchman and everyone else, because people must know this. The rapture cannot, and the tribulation cannot just begin from January, February, March, April, May, June. The spring feast has already been fulfilled. The next candle holder that must go on, and I always emphasize that, is the fifth candle holder, which is Feast of Trumpets. Leviticus 25, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow in the land, and 6 years thou shalt prune the vine, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest, and a Sabbath of the Lord thou shalt neither sow nor field. But when Israel was in the desert, on the 6th day they collected manna. Yeah, and they got a double portion on that day. They received a double portion. Any other day they took extra manna, that manna rot. But on the 6th day they collected double what is, and it's the same matter in the 6th year. 2020 was that 6th year. And I told a friend of mine that I received double in 2020. And in the next video, I want to speak about this, about the double blessing of God. I told you about the rest. In Leviticus 25, thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of the year unto thee, 7 times 7 years, and the space of 7 Sabbaths of the year shall be unto you 49th year. And that's what I said. I made a mistake by counting from made an error by counting from the 49th year instead of the 50th year. So here it says in 2027, when Jesus came the first time, it was 27 AD, was the 80th, the beginning of the 80th Jubilee, on 27 AD, and it ended 28 AD. Then shall I cause a trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall I make the trumpet sound throughout your land. Yes, now this is what I'm trying to say to you. That Jesus will return on the day on Feast of Atonement, on Yom Kippur. Jesus must return on Yom Kippur to declare it unto the people and to comfort those who are mourn. And that is what Jesus will do. That is on Feast of Atonement. Jesus began his ministry on the Feast of Atonement, and Jesus will return on Feast of Atonement. So that is why you have to balance the years, the 1,260 1,260 years, the 1,290 days. You have to balance it out. And that is why I say you cannot go beyond November, October, December. It's not, I mean, November, December, January, February. It's not going to work. As I'll show you further, let's return to 1,260 days. That's the rule of the false prophet. This is the first 3.5 years where the two witnesses commence. The two witnesses commence right after the sixth seal. The two witnesses commence. The covenant is also made there. The two witnesses start their ministry, as well as the 144,000. The 144,000 return at midpoint, as well as the two witnesses that are killed, and they ascended up into heaven. There is a door open there at Revelation 11 verse 12. Come up here. That is for the two witnesses. Yeah. And then the Antichrist, or the prince, then he comes into power, and that is, you can find it in Revelation 13 verse 4. And he is on the scene. He is on the scene, but he is in the UN. He sits in the UN as 666, but he continues then and his power is only then given unto him to rule, and then his time begins for 1,260 days. The false prophet is a spokesman for the prince, for the Antichrist. Okay? And then you get the 1,290 days. That is until Feast of Atonement, when Jesus will return. 1,335 days until Jesus rule as king. Okay, so here you find it is divided into two portions of 1,260 days, and again 1,260 days when the woman Israel flees. So the 1,290, 1,260, the 2,550, and the 1,335 days of Daniel 12:11. Daniel 12. Many shall be purified, made white and refined, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time of the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the abomination of the desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. That is the time when Christ will return, exactly on Feast of Atonement. So you have to balance the time so that it do not exceed past. I showed you already in previous videos. You cannot go past that. It's no use looking for, yes, we must watch every day. But watch and pray that you may not fall into temptation. Watch and pray that you may not fall in sin. That is what you need. You must love like Christ. That is actually, you must have oil in your lamp daily. Yes, you can watch for the signs. I do watch every day, and I am ready. Somebody said that means you're not watching anymore. No, I am watching. I'm preparing for now for Feast of Trumpets 2021 when Jesus will return. Yeah, so the 1290 days of Daniel, in the last chapter of the book, the prophet is transported in a vision. He receives a message from the angel Gabriel, and the word of God concerning the end time events are delivered from the throne room of God. Gabriel makes specific mention of 1290 days. Daniel 12 verse 11. Now, what is this time frame all about? To understand the 1290 days, we must first understand what the 1200 days is all about. To understand that, we must know about the future 70 weeks of Daniel, and I'll show you the chart in a moment. The 70th week of Daniel is a period of 7 biblical years. The biblical years is made up of 360 days. The last half of the 70 weeks is a period of 3.5 biblical years. 3.5 biblical years equals 3.5 times 360 equals 1,260 days. A biblical year is given to us as made up of 12 30 days biblical months. How do we know this? Revelation 12 gives us the biblical time, the time of the exile, and the nurturing of the woman is the key. The time that she flees to the wilderness. Now, this is the Bosra exile as described by the prophet Micah. It is dispensed to us in terms of days and of years. Revelation 12:6 and Revelation 12:14. So here in Revelation 12, we are told clearly and concisely that the time and half a time, that is 3.5 biblical years, equals to 1,260 days. 1,260 days divided by 3.5, of course, is 360. So there are 360 days in the biblical prophetic year. Yeah. Now the 70th week of Daniel, the two periods of 1,260 days. The 70th week of Daniel is the key to understanding the 1,290 days. It is a week, or in Hebrew, a seventh of years. 7 times 360 days equal 2,520 days. I hope you understand that. Yeah. The 2,520 days are divided into two halves. 1,260 plus 1,260 equals 2,520. So these are equal time periods of 1,260 days. The midpoint of the 70th week of Daniel is exceedingly important day in future prophecy. It is the abomination of desolation, Daniel 9:27. This is where the reign of the harlot. Who is riding the harlot? Yeah, the woman is always described as a church. And the Pope is preparing. The Pope is the harlot, and he is preparing the bride for the Antichrist. Yeah. Now the Pope riding the beast with 10 horns, it will end This is where his reign ends, and the 10 kings murder him and fry him, and that's it. So the Pope is not your false prophet. Amen. Here, as I said, it's 1,260 days. I explain it again, which is 3.5 years, where the false prophet will rule. Okay? So I hope you understand. The same person that started the peace process will also enter. He will make a covenant then. He will make the covenant with many. That is what, just after the rapture, he will make the covenant with many. And that, of course, is for a 7-year period. But during this will be a false peace, But it's not really false. This, many people divided the two in the Great Tribulation and this as the tribulation. Yeah, they are, to me, they are equal the same, because it will be terrible times after the rapture when that commences. And some say, yeah, the mark of the beast starts at the middle point of the abomination. That is not true. It starts from this process, and it's already beginning now with the vaccination. Yeah, do not take the vaccination at all. Yeah, so 1,260 days is then the rule of the Antichrist, as I already explained this to you. 1,290 days until the destruction of the prince, 1,335 days until the rule of Christ. Okay, so 3.5 years occurs 5 times in Revelation. I mentioned that in the last video. Plus, not the last video, the previous last video. Yeah, it's clustered together in 3 consecutive chapters of Revelation 11, 12, and 13. 3 years times 2 equals 7 years. 42 months Revelation 2. Trample of the holy city for 42 months, 1,260 days, Revelation 11:3. 2 witnesses prophesied for 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. So if you find it difficult to understand that video, view it another time until you get it. Please, thank you so much. Times and a half time is Revelation 12:14. The woman gives the 2 wings. It's mentioned twice in Revelation 12:6 and Revelation 12:14. The only difference is here that she's been given 2 wings of the great eagle so that she might fly from the serpent into the wilderness. So don't be confused. It is all the same amount of time expressed in different ways. 3.5 years equals 42 months. 1,260 days equals times and a half. Now here comes the crux of the matter. As I said, please share this video with all watchmen. This is Yom Kippur. Let's, for instance, say this is, I'm not setting a date, people. You probably say you're setting a date. God's appointed times is dates. We do not know the day and hour when He is coming. That is all about, He did not say the month. We know the season. October the 7th is 2021 is Feast of Trumpets. That's the first day, of course, in the 7th month. But guess what? They're already derailing us. They put Feast of Trumpets at 7th of September. And I'll show you now in the stellarium that the sun is in Leo. How can that ever be? They're really trying to derail us. But it is actually, I checked the stellarium, and the Feast of Trumpets is on 7th of October 2021. And I'll explain to you now in the middle how the 2,500 days work. So I'll calculate it for you. If the rapture tribulation is Yom Teruah, that is of course Feast of Trumpets 2021, it ends on Yom Kippur 2028. 1,260 days, né? Okay, you understand that, plus 1,290 days. Remember, Daniel 12, chapter 12, that he speaks from the abomination. It's 1,290 days. From that day, halfway midday, it is until Feast of Atonement, when Jesus Christ will return in his second coming. From Yom Kippur 2028, September the 9th, to midpoint is 2025 Passover, April 19. Now you do not count that that is halfway from from Feast of Atonement. You get to the wrong date. You count it from Feast of Atonement. Feast of Atonement, you count that backwards, and then you arrive at April the 19th. I'll show you now in a minute. The start is always Feast of Trumpets and always ends on Yom Kippur. A midpoint is always Passover. Here we can see when is Passover here. Passover is from the 12th, Saturday, that is 2025. That is, of course, I just want to show you it, and that is Saturday, April the 19th, and it ends. Okay, so Yom Kippur, then that is in 2028. That is Saturday, 30th of September, and it starts, of course, 29th September. So let's go to the calculation and calculate the days. Now, if you must use an add and subtract number. You just Google that and you do it yourself. Now, as I told you, let me explain to you. Here it is. They already derailing us. They putting Feast of Trumpets at 6th of the 9th. That is September. And look, you see for yourself where the sun is. It is in Leo. It's a dark moon right there. It's completely out of order, but they're declaring Feast of Trumpets. They did the same thing in 2020, and it was completely wrong. Yeah, so when is Feast of Trumpets then? Feast of Trumpets is on the 7th, from the 6th to the 7th to the 8th of October 2021. So right there you find the sun, and if you move it forward, time forward, and there you find there's a slither of the moon, then right on the 8th. On the 8th of but it's already on the 7th. It's already visible then on the 7th. If you move it just forward, it became visible right on the 7th. It's 1800 hours. So that is feast. That of course is Feast of there's a slither of the moon. You can see the slither of the moon. That is Feast of Trumpets. That should be Feast of Trumpets. But the actual Feast of Trumpets, let me go back there. Yeah, as I said, that is Feast of Trumpets. And that's the actual day of Feast of Trumpets, which is 7. So now if we calculate that in days, let's recalculate in that days, is 2,550 days. And where do we come to? Saturday, September the 30th. September the 30th of that is Feast of Atonement. When is Feast of Atonement? Saturday the 30th September. 100% correct, people. And that is my proof that the rapture and the sixth seal begins at Feast of Trumpets. And that is how you calculate that. Here is another calculator that you can use, and that's just your starting day. And here you can add the number of days, which is the same day as 2,550 days. And if you add that, that is of this, the 7th of the 10th, 2021, Feast of Trumpets. And if you calculate the new date, then where do you arrive? Does it see that? The new date? Yeah, the same date. From Thursday, 7th October 2021. This is the result. That, from that day, that will be the Feast of Trumpets, the possible day for Jesus to come. And at the end of the day, 2,500 days, is Feast of Atonement, people. So I hope that is clear to each and every one. You cannot digress. You cannot go from to take it in little segments, like from January, February. You can do that by all means. But you put yourself at the disappointment about disappointment. I know many of you say it cannot carry on for much longer. Feast of Trumpets is a time frame for rapture. Jesus will return in a Jubilee year, and that will be the final Jubilee 2028. I hope I made myself clear. So please do share this video with each and every watchman. I thank you so much. God bless.